Machiavelli grasped a truth that eludes most. True power doesn't belong to the loudest voice in the room. It belongs to the one who masters the art of silence. In a world where information is gold and words can cut like knives, silence isn't. Just a pause. It's a strategy. It's not about being timid or holding back. It's about control, knowing when to hold your cards close, when to let others reveal their hand first, and when to let the weight of silence do the heavy lifting. This is the ultimate power move in the game of influence and dominance. People talk too much because they fear the void. Silence is uncomfortable. It creates tension and forces others to fill the space with words that often reveal more than they should. Machiavelli advised observing before speaking, reading the intentions of others, and analyzing each word before releasing it. Men must be either pampered or crushed, he wrote in The Prince, because they can avenge minor injuries, but not severe ones. Applied to silence, this means that speaking in half measures is not always wise. Sometimes it is better to say nothing than to say something halfway that can later be used against you. The most common mistake of those seeking power is believing that authority is demonstrated with words. In reality, it is demonstrated with control, and there is no greater control than that which is exercised over oneself. Those who speak without measure, who voice their opinions on everything, and who do not know how to remain silent when necessary, expose themselves to being used by those who understand the value of silence. The one who controls information controls the situation, and the one who speaks without strategy loses the advantage before they even realize it. Machiavelli knew that silence is a strategic tool in politics, in business, in life. Those who speak the least are often the ones who truly hold control. Words are costly when used without restraint because they expose weaknesses, intentions, and thoughts that could have been kept as weapons for the right moment. Real power does not belong to the one who makes themselves heard the most, but to the one who knows when to say nothing. In The Prince, Machiavelli makes it clear that information is the foundation of dominance. A prince must never take his eyes off war, he says, but war is not only of swords, it is of knowledge. In a world where everyone seeks an advantage, the one who knows the most is the one who holds the most power. But knowledge loses its value when it is given away in unnecessary words. This is why true strategists hide more than they show, letting others reveal their cards before showing their own. A well-placed silence can achieve more than 1,000 persuasive speeches. Many people suffer from the need for validation. They speak to prove that they know, to make their presence known, to feel part of the conversation. But those who truly understand the game of power do not seek to be seen. They seek to be feared or respected. Uncertainty is a weapon. If others cannot predict your thoughts, they cannot anticipate your moves. And when others do not know what you are thinking, you are already one step ahead. In this, Machiavelli was clear. Prudence is more valuable than honesty. It is not about lying, but about understanding that not everything that is thought should be said. Silence is not just a defensive strategy. It is also a tool of manipulation. Machiavelli understood that in politics and any power game, a lack of information creates anxiety in others. Uncertainty is a slow poison that weakens adversaries and strengthens those who control it. A well-calculated silence can make others doubt, expose themselves more than necessary, and talk too much while trying to fill the space that one has left empty. In Discourses on the First Decade of Titus Livy, Machiavelli warns that the true leader is not the one who always speaks, but the one who observes and waits. Impatience is a fatal flaw in those who seek power because it drives them to act prematurely, to rush with words and promises they cannot later uphold. The most astute let others wear themselves out with speeches. Let them expose themselves with their own words. They do not interrupt. They do not rush to correct. They simply listen and allow others to sink into their own declarations. The one who speaks less is often received as wiser, not because they truly are, but because silence grants an image of control and confidence. Those who do not feel the need to constantly explain themselves, who do not seek to fill voids with unnecessary words, project authority. On the other hand, those who talk too much leave traces, reveal their weaknesses, and show their intentions without realizing it. Silence turns those who master it into a mystery, and mystery is power. Silence not only protects, but also grants time. In the game of power, Machiavelli understood that those who act impulsively tend to make fatal mistakes. Words can be weapons, but they can also become a trap for those who use them without restraint. Once something is said, it can no longer be taken back, can no longer be forgotten. That is why silence is the tool of those who prefer to think before making a move, of those who calculate the effect of each word before pronouncing it. In The Prince, Machiavelli insists that a prudent leader does not reveal their true intentions. A ruler cannot afford to be completely transparent because transparency is an invitation to manipulation. The one who deceives will always find someone willing to be deceived, he wrote, suggesting that power is not about honesty, but about strategy. Speaking too much is like opening a door to one's own weaknesses, giving the enemy the tools to attack later. In contrast, silence allows for observation, understanding, and waiting for the right moment. It is curious how the modern world seems to have forgotten this principle. People speak without thinking, post their thoughts, without a filter, and expose themselves with an ease that Machiavelli would consider ridiculous. Power is not built on the need to be heard, but on the ability to make others want to listen. There is no greater advantage than that which comes from patience, prudence, and silence at the right moment. A strategic silence not only protects, but forces others to reveal more than they should. Machiavelli knew that silence is not just a defensive tactic, but also a tool of dominance. When someone remains silent in a conversation, the other person, by nature, feels the need to fill that void. In that urgency, they often reveal more than they intended, exposing their thoughts and letting their intentions slip. It is a subtle but effective trap. Those who intelligently remain silent force others to talk, to justify themselves, to expose themselves without even realizing it. In The Art of War, Machiavelli highlights the importance of foresight and strategy. A good commander does not attack without information, does not allow themselves to be carried away by impulses. The same applies to words. Those who know how to remain silent gather data. People expose themselves when they feel uncomfortable, when they try to fill silence with unnecessary words. There is no need to interrupt them, just observe and let them speak too much while they reveal their plans. The silent one calmly builds theirs. Silence grants control in a meeting, in a negotiation, in any power game. The one who speaks the least is the one who holds the advantage, not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand that every spoken word has a cost. Those who rush to speak do so out of anxiety, insecurity, or the need for validation. But those who master the art of silence exude authority. They do not need to prove their knowledge with endless speeches because their mere presence generates expectation. Those who learn to remain silent with purpose will never be seen as irrelevant, but as someone who only speaks when it is truly necessary. Machiavelli understood that words are a valuable resource, but only when used with intention. Saying the right thing at the right moment can build an image of authority, but speaking too much is a mistake that is rarely correctable. The real question is simple. Are you the owner of your words, or are your words the owner of you? In a world where everyone competes for attention, those who know when to speak and when to remain silent are the ones who truly hold control. Machiavelli did not teach us to be mute, but to understand the power of managing silence as a tool of dominance. And now, after all this, do you think you know when to remain silent, or are you still trapped in the need to speak without thinking?